Welcome to a bigger, bolder, brighter podcast with SunCoast Blinds. Welcome back, listeners and viewers. Charlie McDermott, producer, co-host of the show, back here with Ben. Ben, how you doing?
Good, Charlie. How about yourself today?
Doing terrific today. It's always a sunny day, but not as brutally sunny when I have SunCoast Blinds, like just automating and working inside my home and doing wonderful things to make life more enjoyable.
Well, we like to say we throw some shade your way, Charlie.
You say it much better than me, too. So speaking of shades, let's get into shutters. Plantation shutters. When are they the best choice for your home?
If you have a home in Florida, Plantation shutters are a good choice for your home.
Cast a big net. I love it. Now, do you put them in every window, or is that something that you should maybe, define? How would you go about figuring out which windows would be the better windows for plantation shutters?
So, like most things, plantation shutters have evolved over the years to not necessarily a one-size-fits-all like it was a decade ago, where you use them more with a fine touch. It was true a decade or a decade and a half ago, where if you had a house in Florida, there were shutters. That was the Florida thing, and by and far, a lot of ways it still is. But you use them a little bit less. We're not going to put them on sliding glass doors. We're probably not going to put them on big picture windows. We're not going to put them in areas where they don't seem appropriate, because there is the expression from years and years ago, whether it was referring to plantation shutters or not, where you don't want to be shuttered in. So you don't want to close in your space with too many shutters and create too much of a repeating theme to where that becomes all you have. Most of our clientele in Southwest Florida have something to look at out of most of their windows, be it a beautifully manicured golf course or the Gulf of Mexico, or a retention pond that serves as a visible lake that, some alligators swim in, whatever it is. Most clients have a view, and plantation shutters do a wonderful job of framing that view, but they're also going to be in the way. The one thing that the common theme on where plantation shutters are the right window treatment for you is if you can look at your window and say, hey, I'm going to look through this plantation shutter 100% of the time. It provides me a certain amount of privacy. It provides me a certain amount of light control. It provides the decor and the trim to a window that I want to have 100% of the time. I love that for a shutter. If you say to yourself, I don't want to look through anything. I don't care about my privacy concerns. I don't care about my light concerns and all those other things I previously mentioned, then maybe we're not talking about plantation shutters, because a shutter lives its best life when it's living in the window. And then you look through it. With our bigger, bolder, brighter plantation shutter design, we try to minimize that blockage of your view and the light coming in or out by designing the shutter to a bigger, bolder, brighter way. But it's still going to be there. You're still going to have something to look at.
Yeah. That's a great definition. And you probably covered some of this, the next question here, but just to frame the pros and cons of plantation shutters, what would be the pros?
The pros and cons of shutters are everything's a pro unless you don't like it, and then it's a con. So it's kind of two sides of the same coin. Plantation shutters are by far and away the number one window treatment for your fit and finished and done. Once we put a plantation shutter in your window, that's it. Your initial spend is the last nickel you're going to spend on that window. You don't need to have any side panels. You don't need to have any top treatments. You don't need to dress it any further. You don't need to put any extra blinds, shades, whatever else on that window. It is done. So if your choke point is a $500 price tag for a window or a $1,000 price tag for a window, once you spend it, that's the last nickel you spend. So going back to that price point of a $500 shutter, if you're going to reduce that down and say, I'm going to get a $200 blind or a $250 blind, that's not the last dollars you're going to spend on that window. You're then going to have to fit and finish it some way. Top treatment side panels, more room darkening, something more decorative. So that price point continues to evolve over time. With shutters, you cut the check and it's done. So there's a huge benefit for clients in Southwest Florida that just kind of want to get in their house, move in, have something that's no maintenance, and be done with it. And that's where a shutter lives its best life, right? Other pros of Plantation shutters are we're Green Guard certified with our poly resin material, so they're hospital grade. They're no maintenance. They're going to keep your light out as good as anything else outside of a room darkening shade. So extremely good light control. With our bigger, bolder, brighter design, we're going to make those louvers as big as possible to let a good amount of light in. So they give it a fantastic amount of viewing out, light coming in, while still being there and retaining a framed window treatment on your window. One of the last things that comes to mind is the way we frame out the windows. We actually put a frame that's decorative around your drywall opening. A lot of our clients come from up north where they have nice, pretty woodwork around my windows. And why do we do all these cheap windows in Southwest Florida? They just don't put any trim up. What the heck's going on? Well, we answer that with a Plantation shutter. Now we're going to finish your window out the way you thought it was supposed to be done. So all of those things are the big pros for Plantation shutters, unless you don't like them, and then they become the cons. So you just flip the script, there's your cons.
Love it, love it, love it. Are there any windows that we should avoid putting Plantation shutters on from your point of view?
Oh, sure. So like you said, I mentioned a couple things earlier, but I'll dial it a little closer now, is if you've got your big picture windows, you know, what I call your money shot. You walk into your house or your condo and you're in the front door, those big, beautiful vista windows facing out the back, that is probably not what we're going to put a shutter on. Because shutters, again, live their best lives when they're on the windows 100% of the time. So your compromise is you get a beautiful shutter, you're going to look through it. And if it's that big, beautiful view out of the back of your house, you don't want to be having that obstruction of the shutter looking through it. The other thing that seems to be creeping its way back into the lexicon of style is putting shutters on sliding glass doors, which is a fantastic idea for master bedrooms or guest bedrooms. So if you're of that house or condo that has a sliding glass door in your master bedroom or your guest bedroom, a shutter works fantastic on there.
Yeah.
If that sliding glass door is in your living room, dining room, common space area, that's not going to be where you want to go. There's a lot of other things we can do to create problem solving with other window fashions than a Plantation shutter. There they tend to get a little bit clunky, a little bit bulky, not so elegant to move around. So we're going to avoid those in those big window spaces, those big siding spaces in your common areas. Other than that, it's a touchdown.
I love it how you're not a one-trick pony. You know, you've got answers for every space in the home, and you know, in all seriousness, you know, it's let's design this for the best lifestyle. And like you said, whether you want to do a once and done, we talked in other episodes about the cool automations that you guys do and the different types of treatments, and we didn't even touch on colors, but I'm assuming that, you know, are there limits with color choice, and how does that work?
It depends on the material of the shutter. So our typical preferred shutter is going to be a poly resin. And again, it's, you know, pros and cons. What do you like to look up?
Yeah.
But the poly resin material, it's going to be in 3 shades of white, which is white, off-white, and more off-white. And that's going to be that finish forever. You're never going to change it. It's going to look that way for 25 years. So at 20 years or 22 years or 23 years, you're going to come to me and say, how do my shutters look? I'm going to say they look perfect, because they do. If we go to our wood shutter product, which is a great product, has a lifetime warranty, the imagination is your limit. We can make them purple, we can stain them, we can distress them, we can do all different kinds of finishes with different benefits and different consequences. The big consequence that we have to remember is once we start painting a finish that goes into a window, it doesn't matter how good the shutter is, it doesn't matter how good the paint is, science is real, and we're putting a painted finish in a window. There will be extra maintenance that's going to be required for that on the road. You're going to have to treat it with a little bit more of a kid glove. So if you, using the color purple again as my example, if you want a purple shutter, the consequence is you're going to have to be more careful with it. And those are things that you're willing to square with yourself. If you are like most other people, that you just want something that's no maintenance and done, you put a white shutter in there. Unfortunately, my industry is quite boring because we want to be, you know, it's at the end of the day, we all want to kind of go down our wormhole and find the best product and find the best thing we can possibly buy, no matter what it is. if it's an iPhone or a computer or a microphone or headphones as it relates to the podcast, you don't want to buy selection B when selection A is out there, right?
Yeah.
With window fashions, your house is selection A.
Yeah.
I will always be selection B, and don't treat me as such differently. So you want to let me get in there, put my selection in there, but don't get down your rabbit hole. We'll fix your problems. We'll make it beautiful. Decorate with your couches, your pillows, your artwork, things that are of display items. Let me be beautiful in the background.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. How about homes with kids, animals, anything that we should be concerned with plantation shutters?
Only concerned if you like good things, Charlie. So with plantation shutters, they are the ideal treatment for both of those things, animals and children. Old people.
Is that because you can use them to cage your kids in at certain times, or is it more?
Certainly,
No.
yeah, that's probably going to avoid some warranty. And child services might be a phone call away, but that's another podcast for a different company. But shutters, they really fit into that no maintenance product of they're Green Guard certified, as I mentioned before, so they're hospital grade. If you're worried about child safety, cords, those sort of things, they don't have any. So they're the most child safety product you can possibly put in a window. They're also relatively child-proof. If your kid's going to want to put crayon on them, and they're the polyresin line that we offer, you just take a magic eraser and clean them off. So unless your kid belongs in one of those movies that's probably R-rated, they're probably going to be okay with shutters in their playroom and not have to worry about having a service issue. As far as animals go, animals create their own distinct and unique environment in the fact that there's hair all over the place no matter what. It doesn't matter how clean you are, there's going to be something somewhere. If you got a bigger dog, their nose, they're drooling on stuff. I mean, they just create an extra level of maintenance and worry. When it comes to shutters, there's no cloth, there's no fabric, there's nothing that can't be cleaned off. Outside of them biting, chewing, and eating your window treatments, which nothing's proof of that, you're going to be okay with a shutter in a window. That's going to be your best treatment for anything with hair that's not where you want it to be. Yeah. And you got a great head of hair, Charlie.
Well, thanks for noticing, Ben. Now everyone's like, oh my God, I got to get to YouTube and see what kind of hair Charlie has.
Yeah, see?
Anyway, let's talk about trends. I mean, you've been doing this for decades. I mean, it runs in your family. You've seen trends come and go. Do you hear much from clients before they invest in plantation shutters? The concern, hey, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, are the trends going to change? Will these shutters still be trendy?
I think it's kind of like asking if cars are trendy, right? Like we're always going to be in a car. The car is going to evolve. It's going to change. It's going to be something a little different today. As there's Teslas, 100 years ago, there were Model Ts. It's still a car. Nobody thinks cars are going to go out of trend. It's the same thing with shutters. Shutters have been timeless. They go back hundreds of years, predating every single type of window treatment that there possibly is. They go back to Roman times, if we're going to be very technical about plantation.
Get out.
Promise you this. So, they're not going anywhere. The difference is how are we going to design them to kind of future-proof where we're at with the shutters today versus what's going to be tomorrow. And the designs have evolved and they have changed. A shutter that I did 10, 15, and 20 years ago doesn't look exactly the same as the shutter that I'm doing today. It also doesn't look a world apart or different. And there are still people designing shutters today that look like shutters I did 10, 15 years ago. We'll let them catch up at some point. That's why we're ahead of the pack, right? So I'm not going to give them all my secrets, but you can design the shutters so they look good today. As long as they're accomplishing what you want them to accomplish in your home, they're going to be timeless.
Yeah.
The other thing is with a plantation shutter, they tend to be a chameleon of window treatments in your home. You have somebody come to me and they say, hey, Ben, I'm beach, I'm coastal, I'm modern, I'm trendy, I'm transitional, whatever it is your interior decor is. Shutters can kind of fit in there and be the chameleon that brings it all together, but doesn't shine over and above what else you're trying to do. So you put it in there and be confident that you can redecorate your home 4 times. Your shutters are still there.
Yeah.
So when I say when you buy them, that's the last nickel you spend on your window, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah. So then a blanket question. Do shutters fit in any home design?
Of course, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's the idea is that we can put them in there, and there are slight design differences and touches that you do to make a plantation shutter fit in this home versus that home. So one design doesn't fit in all, but we have a design to fit in all homes.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I know you've got. I can hear. I can hear our listeners. You got their kind of brains kind of going. Shh. The visual of the enhancement of your home, and last episode, just for your listeners and viewers who maybe skipped episodes, make sure if you're looking at new construction, go back to the previous episode, because you killed it there as well, and just helping homeowners make decisions maybe ahead of time to get it done right, and or bring you in. What really appealed to me in that episode is even after the fact, and obviously because probably the bulk of your work are existing homes, and you've got a number of different ways to accommodate various different blinds, treatments, and automation, which I think is really cool. I'm a big fan of automation ever since I got to Florida. Yeah.
We can even automate plantation shutters, believe it or not, Charlie.
Oh, tell me more.
It's not very widely used
Uh-huh.
because it kind of conflicts with the greatest feature of plantation shutters is their ease and convenience of use. You can use them with the touch of your finger, but if you want to put a plantation shutter out of reach in an area that's not accessible, we can motorize them. You can make them work with a remote control. Our particular motorization product sounds very simple, but is very hard to engineer. Is you can manually override it, so you can physically use your plantation shutters as well as use remote control on them. So it's something that was in research and development for years. It's come out in the last year or two to good reviews, and they continue to improve that product. But yeah, if you want to put a shutter somewhere where you can't quite get at it and the shade really isn't the solution, we can put a shutter on remote control for you. Absolutely.
Wow. You're full of surprises, man. That's awesome. Who says window treatments are boring and blinds and shutters? I mean, it's again, I think I shared this in a previous episode, walking into our home with some automation in it. It was that thing you didn't know you needed until you had it. It's like, oh my God, how do we live this long without, this product or automation service? It is so cool. So
well, it's one of those things that is getting to the point of scale of, and I think I mentioned this previously, garage door openers. You don't have manual garage doors anymore.
Yeah.
Certainly we're all long past rabbit ears and switching the dial on your TV. There's certain aspects of automation that you just assume. And actually that dovetails into something I can mention. The U.S. Safety Commission recently just passed a law that will come into effect that will absolutely ban cords on shades.
I saw that. Yes.
So as that gets implemented and becomes a law, not a suggestion, the automation is going to continue to take off and be more in that vein of the garage door where, hey, we're going to put motors on stuff and just deal with it.
Yeah. God. To think as a kid, I would have to get up and change the TV channel. You didn't think twice.
Not just change it, Charlie. Dial it in because it was a little bit fuzzy, a little less fuzzy. Right? Some kid moved in a room where they brought their TV dinner in and it messed with your signal. And you had to mess with your rabbit ears a little bit more. I mean, there was a lot going on.
Your sister would walk by. Of course, it would be your younger one, and he'd be like, "Don't move, stay right there," because whatever was going on, the show would tune in. Oh, those were the days.
How far we've come.
All right. Well, hey, great seeing you as always. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and expertise, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Before we go, as always, listeners, Southwest Florida and beyond, who want to learn more, want to get in touch. Best ways for them to get in touch, Ben?
Always feel free to reach out to me via phone. I will answer and or call you back. That phone number is going to be 239-495-6558. You can stop by our studio. We are here weekdays, 3634 Bonita Beach Road. And or if none of those are available, hit up our website, SunCoastBlinds.com. We do a great job of that and look forward to hearing from you.
Terrific. We'll see you next show.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thanks for listening to a bigger, bolder, and brighter podcast with SunCoast Blinds. To learn more about our company or our products, go to suncoastblinds.com. Call 239-495-6558 or stop by our studio at 3634 Unit A, Bonita Beach Road, Bonita Springs, Florida.